I have the pleasure to introduce our last lightning talk of the section, which is Sian Toogood. She is the head of Delivering Digital Research Project at the Science Museum Group, and she will be speaking on Delivering Digital Reach Project Roundup. Thank you.
Thank you. It also didn't occur to me to do a QR code. I'm very sorry, but I have a quite memorable name, so you can find me on LinkedIn. Sorry, really arrogant. Thank you very much. It's such an honor to be here amongst everyone else who has spoken so intelligently and wonderfully today. I'm going to talk to you about Delivering Digital Reach, which is a project that's been going on for about 2 years. And it's a wonderful project to talk about because it's really, really simple. In that, the premise of it is that if you make a bunch of videos and online blogs, then you'll get a lot of digital engagement, and thereby you deliver digital reach. And broadly speaking, that's worked. Over the last 2 years, my team has delivered 75 long-form films, and for us that means sort of 7 minutes to 40 minutes. In length, we've also done 48 short-form films, so sub 3 minutes. We've done 23 online stories. We have gained 9.5 million views in the last 2 years, and we have almost doubled our YouTube subscribers in that time. I am not going to talk about the successes of the project, which are many, and all to do with my team. I am going to talk to you today about the failures of the project, because the big thing that this project was doing was testing and experimentation. And as we have heard quite a lot today, testing and experimentation means failure. I'm going to keep it as light as possible, though, so don't worry. We focused on creating videos for the Science Museum and the National Railway Museum's YouTube channels. And on the face of it, those two channels are pretty similar. They've got similar amounts of subscribers, views, they look quite similar in terms of our branding, obviously. And so you would think, okay, they're doing pretty much the same. But one of them is actively growing and thriving, and the other is effectively dead. And at this point, I would usually ask for a show of hands to get you to interact with me in some way to say, okay, which one's which? But I don't have time for that. So we're going to just tell you, and I'm going to tell you that it's the Science Museum that is the one that is effectively dead. And if that's a little bit too hyperbolic for you, then it's floundering. And the reason is a really interesting one, I think. The reason is that the YouTube algorithm thinks that we are a conspiracy theory channel. And I'll tell you why. In 2019, we put out a very good film with Buzz Aldrin talking about the moon landing. And it had a famous person, it had a big story, it was well made, and it got lots of engagement. Lots of people watched it, lots of people started commenting on it, and they had a conversation about whether the moon landings was real. And we didn't really put out that much after that. So that conversation proliferated on that channel for years and years and years. And then when DDR came along and started putting out regular content, the first film we put out was on the Burnley Mill engine, a beautiful steam engine that's in the middle of our museum in London and occasionally is run. And the algorithm went, aha, wonderful, a new film, perfection. And we got lots of views. And it was great. And we thought, we're really good at this. We're brilliant at making films. And then the next one went out and it didn't do as well. And we thought, that's weird. I didn't expect the Burnley Mill engine to be our peak. But what happened was there's no conspiracy theory with Burnley Mill engine. Everyone's been to Burnley, I assume. Or at least believe that it exists and believe that mill engines exist. And so when the algorithm pushed out all of our Burnley Mill engine stuff to our audience, they went, click. Oh, no, not interested. And the second thing happened. The YouTube algorithm decided that not only were we a conspiracy theory channel, we're a conspiracy theory channel that is rubbish at making conspiracy theory videos. So what do we do when this is our premise? And I'm going to say something that's quite difficult to say in front of a live audience of very smart people. I don't know. It's a really tough situation to be in. So we stopped, we regrouped, we had a think, and we thought of two really bold things that we could do. we did not do either of these, by the way, so don't get excited. We thought, okay, well, we lean in. We make a series about conspiracy theories. We make episodes about contrails and 5G and raw milk and vaccines. And then I looked into the sad eyes of our comms team, and I took pity on them, and I said, you're absolutely right, we can't do that, it'd be a nightmare. We talked about dismantling the channel, as you talked very wittily about, and we decided that we wouldn't do that. It's a really good idea, and I think it's a really brave move to move off, but it's a very resource-heavy move. And we had this thought and process, and I think potentially could still do it, but to disband the Science Museum channel and come out with Science Museum Space or Science Museum Medicine or Tech or whatever it is. But at the end of this project in March, a lot of our resource goes down the tubes. And so to support those really hungry channels, how do we move forward? So what I did do was I went back to my IT roots and I turned it off and left it alone for 9 months. And we did everything that you might expect Google to tell you to do a YouTube channel really well. So we did community posts, we did paid advertising, we looked at all of our metadata and everything about it. And we didn't see that much of a change, but we did start to see little glimmerings of information about specific videos that we were putting out. So, yes, 2 minutes. So we looked at the length of our videos and how that was impacting what success looked like, and so on, and we started to regroup. We also noticed that it didn't actually make that big of a change turning off the Buzz Aldrin video, so we turned it back on, because we might as well have the views and get that engagement that way. And we were doing a series about space, so it kind of makes sense. And this all sounds really negative. It sounds like we had a really bad time, and I'm not trying to snatch failure from the jaws of success. I'm going to go right back up to the top and say, we learned something from every single video that we put out, even the ones that don't do really well. And I think it's really important to remember when you're looking at a project like this, you've got loads of numbers floating around, and it's really important to try and hit those numbers for the stakeholders, for the directorate, for the trustees, for the money people. That's all really important, but it's also about figuring out what all of that means when you're going forward into the future. And sometimes, there's a really wild beeping, sometimes that means looking at the stuff that you've done in the past and how that's impacting what you're doing now and in the future going forward. So, all that to say, watch this space a little bit in terms of our videos. I appreciate that not everyone likes a train video, but the NRM are doing some amazing work. And even if you don't like trains, there are some really pedantic comments that are really, really enjoyable to read. So I highly recommend that. And yeah, thank you very much. If you've liked this talk, please like and subscribe. Thank you.